We upload that. All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Android development workshop. This is part one in our series of Android-related workshops that we have planned for this quarter. Let's get into it. So first, let's introduce our workshop coordinators. My name is Tyler. I am a fourth-year computer engineer. I'm also the web development director for GDSC. And I'm also going to be one of the instructors for the Android course that we have planned next quarter. And then Henry, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Henry. I'm a third-year computer science major. I'm the one of the technical directors for Google Developer Student Club. And I will also be teaching the Android course with Tyler together this winter. Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to pass it to Henry, and he's going to go ahead and start the workshop off.
Yes.
Yep.
Hello. Okay. So today we are going to build a nice roller app, and it looks like this. So there's a picture of the dice, and there's a roll button, and when you click it, we'll generate a random integer between 1 and 6, and then change the picture of it. So yeah. And first, we're going to install Android Studio if you haven't done already. And we are also going to give a brief introduction on Android Studio while you are installing it. So, and then we are going to actually start coding for our application. All right, so as I mentioned before, if you haven't already done so, please install Android Studio. Here's the link. And I'm gonna move on to give a brief introduction on Android development. So what is Android? So you probably know Android is an open source mobile application operating system based on Linux. And it's by Google. It's used on most of the smartphones in the world. And it also runs on TVs, wearables, and cars besides mobile phones. And there are currently 3 million Android apps in the Google Play Store. And for today's workshop, we are going to use Kotlin. If you have worked with Android before, you probably know Google uses Java for Android. But in recent years, Kotlin is a new language that's still based on the Java ecosystem, but it provides much more features, such as it's more expressive, concise, and it also enables us to write more safer code, and it's interoperable with Java. So we still can use all the Java libraries, which we have a very big ecosystem for. And it also has very good support for structured concurrency. And just in the last few years, Google has officially recommended developers to switch to Kotlin instead of Java for Android developers. So now I will give a brief introduction to Android Studio. So you can open your Android Studio now, and this should be the home page if you haven't used it before. And if you have already used it before, it will open your most recent project, and you can go to File, New Project to create new project. And let me know if you have any questions. No? Okay, and then it will ask you to choose a template for the starter code. And for today's workshop, we are gonna use an empty activity, and we'll later add a button and add the image view on our own. Is everyone on the same page right now? Okay, good. Okay, next we can give our project a name, and we can call it my nice roller app. Here you can call it anything, and it should generate the package name automatically when you fill the name out. And you can choose the location, and the language by default should be Kotlin already. And for the minimum SDK, you can set it to API 21 Android 5. So this is gonna be the Android system that our app can run on. It's the minimum SDK, meaning that all the mobile phones running at least Android 5.0 can use our app. And as it's shown here, like our app will run on approximately 94% of the devices. Is that all good? Any questions? Okay, let's move on. So after you create the project, you will see a project link here. And by default, it already switched to the Android app. So you will see all the Android files here. So there will be 4 main folders here: manifest, Java, REST or resources, and the Gradle script. And I will go over what each one contains next. So first, manifest folder. So this folder contains some metadata about your app. It's an intermediary with the OS, and it includes some very basic information about the app, such as Android version support, the name, the theme, the icon, and also the device permissions. And for this app we are currently building, we do not need any permissions. So if you've used the Android or iOS device, you will see sometimes when you open the app, it will prompt for you to, for example, get device location or like read your contacts or something. And that is also done here in the manifest. So we need to tell the operating system what permissions our app needs. Any questions? Okay. Then is the Java folder. So the Java folder contains our code logic. It's kind of the code that happened behind the UI, and it includes like the code behind each screens and also some services, which like we might use to call web APIs or any other services, and also unit testing and third-party packages. And then it's a resource folder. So the resource folder contains resources. So all of these are resources like layouts, which define the UI for our app, and some like values like strings or like images, audio, color. It's like if you have worked on web development before, it's more like an assets folder in a web project. So any questions so far? Okay, and then it's a Gradle. So Gradle is a build system for Android, and it is used to compile the Kotlin source files and link all the files together, and finally it builds the APK or app bundle that you can use to install your app. Any questions? Okay, and now let's start coding. I will hand over to Tyler.
Okay, so if you haven't done so already, we actually have a set of instructions for this workshop. You're gonna want to go to let's see. A second. You're gonna want to go to Google. Okay, so you're gonna want to go to Google. You're gonna type in UC Davis GDSC. Okay. And then now you're gonna click the second result, GDSC community.dev. And then you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna see today's workshop. You're gonna click view details. Is everyone on the same page? Nice. All right, we're gonna click view details, and then we're gonna go down and we're gonna see our instruction set for this workshop. Okay, so as I go through the live coding, you're gonna wanna follow these set of instructions, and it'll just be a lot easier if you have this in front of you while I go over the workshop. Let's do this. No, I'm just gonna look at it and code here. Okay. Okay. That's already there. All right, so let's, first step 0 says open up Android Studio, create a new project. Okay. So we're going to click create new project. And it says select empty activity template and click OK. Empty activity, let's click next. Okay, now we're going to name our application. We're going to name it My Dice Roller App. Okay, and our package name should be auto-generated. Our save location, we could change that if we'd like, but I'm going to leave it to default. For the language, we're going to set it to Kotlin. And our minimum SDK, we're going to set to Android 5 or API 20. And we're going to click finish. I'm going to bring that back up. This too. Okay, so now in our instruction document, we're going to be told to install a set of zip file images relating to our DICE project. So we're going to click this URL. All right. Now we're going to go to the file location wherever that folder was downloaded to. I'm going to bring it over there. Okay. Okay, so here's our download folder. We're going to find our zip file for our DICE images. So for me, I actually already unzipped it. So here it is. And what I'm going to do is make note of this location. So I'm going to remember where this folder is, because we're actually going to import that into Android Studio. So let's go back to Android Studio. And for step 1, what we're going to do is we're going to click on View. So View, Tool Windows, and it's really hard to see.
I think it's this one.
Oh, Resource Manager, there it is. Okay. Okay, now that we have a Resource Manager pane open, we're going to click the plus icon. We're going to click Import Drawables. And we're going to find the 6 DICE images that we downloaded earlier, and we're going to select all 6 of them. All right, now we're going to click OK. We're going to click Next and Import. Okay, so everybody on the same page? Okay, so now we have our DICE images imported to our mobile application. For step 2, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do the UI before we do the code logic. So let's get into that. You're going to click on View, Tool Windows, and you're going to click on Project. Okay, so in order to access our UI folder or our UI file, we're going to click on Res, Layout, and then Activity Main XML. All right, so this is where we're actually going to do a bulk of our UI design for the app. Let's see. So make sure you have the Design tab open. Click on here, Design. And make sure you have the palette pane open as well. You're going to click on Palette. Okay, so first step, what we're going to do is we're going to remove our Hello World template. We're going to right click and we're going to click Delete. Oops. And why is this happening? Yeah, I got it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to drag an image view because we need the picture of the dice. Every time we roll the app or roll the button, we're going to have a new picture for our dice. So we're going to click and drag an image view from our palette pane. And then we're gonna have a pop-up. And then within this pop-up, we're gonna select dice1 as our initial image. All right, click OK. All right, so now as you can see, our image is way too big. So we're gonna have to adjust the size of it. So what you're gonna do is refer to your attributes pane over here, and you're gonna go under declared attributes, layout width, and you're gonna make that 160 dp. Visible, okay. And then you're gonna go to your layout height, and you're gonna set it to 160 dp as well. Okay, perfect. So now that we have our image the size that we want, we need to constrain it within this screen. So we're gonna click and drag on the circle to the top of the screen, and we're gonna repeat that process for each side. Okay, now we actually just need a button, because every time we click the button, this image will change. So let's drag and drop a button view from our palette pane. So we're gonna drag and drop it here. And then we also need to set constraints for this button as well. So you're gonna drag from this circle to the right, drag from this circle to the left. And we're gonna wanna constrain the top of this button to the bottom of this dice image. So we're gonna drag here and we're gonna connect it to the bottom. Okay, so that's it for the UI, pretty simple. If you're having any trouble, let's see. How do I access the, okay, your Explorer, wrong way. Oh, it's right there. It's this.
Yeah.
I want to drag that over there. Okay, so if you're having any issues with the UI, you can actually just go ahead and copy this, all of this code. You could actually paste that into this code, and it'll automatically update. So if you're having any issues, you could do that. But for now, we're going to go on to the code logic. In order to do that, let's see. So for step 3, we're actually going to go to our main activity.kotlin file. We access that by going to app, Java, and then main activity. Okay. So first step that we need to do is we need to create a class for a dice. So let's get started on that. So we're actually going to make this class outside of our onCreate method, but within the scope of our main activity class. So this subclass this is how we're going to do a class definition in Kotlin. So we write class, the name of our class is dice, and we have a parameter. Our parameter in this case is going to be the number of sides, because a dice can have 4 sides, you can have 10 sides or 20 sides. So we need a parameter for the number of sides. So we put a value, num sides, and then we specify the type. We put a colon and then integer. Let's put that one. Which one? Oh yeah. Yeah, int is capital. Okay. And then we do curly braces, and then we have the body of our class. So next, what we need to do is we need to create a method for this class. We need to create a roll method. This roll method will generate a random number between 1 and 6. And then based off that random number, we're actually going to return it. So the way that we do a method or a function inside of a class is we do fun, roll, empty parameters, and then our body. We actually need to specify return type as well. So after this, we're going to do colon integer. Oops. Colon integer capital I. Right. And then for the body, we're going to specify what our function is going to do. So we're going to do new variable val. Let's call this number range. And we're going to specify the type integer range. equals 1 dot dot. Oh, tape some math. Right here. Okay. All right, sorry about that. So now we're going to specify a range of numbers. So we do num range of type integer range. We do 1 dot dot, and then depending on how many sides we have, that's how far we're going to go. So we do num sides. So hypothetically, if we had 6 for the number of sides, this would produce a number range of 1 through 6. Next, we're going to generate a random number based off of this integer range. I'm going to do val random number equals number range dot random. Okay, and we're going to return this random number. All right, so that's it for our dice class. Now we need a type of function that our button will carry out every time it's pressed. Okay. All right, so we're gonna initialize a function, fun, dice roll. Oops. Empty parameters, and we're gonna do our body definition. Let's see. So we're gonna create an object for a dice. Let's call it dice equals dice. And for the parameter, remember, we have to specify the number of sides. We have a 6-sided dice in our scenario, so let's just do 6. No, it's just saying that it's only initialized once, so we might as well just return that. Yeah, I got it. Sorry about that. Yeah, we should add our type for a random number. Okay, so next we're gonna do our dice roll function. So we create an object for our dice, and we pass in the method 6, or the parameter 6. Okay, now we're gonna actually call that function, or call our roll method in our dice class. We do val dice roll equals dice dot roll. Okay, so this is basically setting our we're setting dice roll equal to whatever our dice roll method returns. And in this case, it actually returns a random number. So based off of the result of this number, we're actually going to determine which image we're going to show to the user. So if I roll a 1, I'm going to want to see a 1. If I roll a 2, I'm going to want to see a 2. So the way that we do that, first of all, we actually need to reference the image that we made earlier. The way that you reference images or UI components in Android Studio is you reference them by their ID. So in this case, we have an ID of image view. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back to my code. And I'm going to do val, let's see, dice image. I specify the type as image view. All right, ignore that for now. I'm going to set that equal to find view by ID. And I specify the type of the view, image view. And then remember the ID that I copied earlier from our UI. What I'm going to do is do r.id dot whatever the ID was that I copied from our UI. In that case, it was image view, right? So now it's complaining, it's saying that it wants an import statement. So what you could do is, if you're on Windows, press Alt-Enter. If you're on Mac, press Option-Enter. Okay, so now we're referencing our image from our UI. Now we have to manipulate that image somehow. So based off of whatever value I got from the roll, I'm going to want to display that the corresponding image. So through a series of if statements, we can actually do that. So if dice roll equals 1, I'm going to set the image to 1. Okay. So I do r.drawable.dice1. And the way that we're referencing that is inside of our drawable folder right here, we have our dice1 image. So we're doing r.drawable.dice1. Okay, so that's our first conditional. We need 5 more. Okay, so if I roll a 2, I want to show a 2. Okay, so now we're finally done with that. One more piece of the puzzle. For our button in our dice rolling app, we need to set that button to perform this function. So to do that, we're going to use find view by ID once again, but we're going to go inside of our onCreate method. So within the scope, we're going to initialize or reference our button here. So let's go back to our UI, click on the button. My ID here is button. It's probably the same for all of you as well. So let's go back to our code and do val button type button equals find view by ID type button r.id dot button. And it's going to complain about import statements again. Just go ahead and import. Spelled that wrong. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to set an on-click listener. An on-click listener basically checks if the user has tapped it or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to do button dot set on click listener. It should not automatically pop up. And then within that, we're going to put actually let's remove those parentheses, put curly brackets. And then inside of this, we're going to do we're going to call a roll dice function or dice roll. Like that. Okay, now that should be it for all of our code. Let's run it and see if it works. So in order to run it, you're going to go up to run and run app. No, I know it's
The trend is
just give us 1 second. Okay. Yeah, and it might take a while. The emulator is kind of slow. You have enough compute power? Okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
70%? I think it's about to finish. Okay, yeah, this is normal, by the way. This is how long it takes. Nothing just code. That's what it is.
Just because it's not.
It's CPU. Okay, so there we go. We have our app. Let's see if it works. So if we click the button, hypothetically, we should see our image updated depending on the value that we land on. So let's click it. We got a 4, we got a 6, we got a 5. Well, it works. Does anyone have any issues right now? Anybody else? Yeah, but other than that, you have finally completed your first Android mobile application. Give yourselves a round of applause. So, let's see. Henry. So we're gonna put this up, and I'm gonna go around and help people too, just both of us. But can you put this up first? That on screen.
This one?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it and then help people. Okay, so with that out of the way, we actually have another workshop happening on October the 18th. It'll actually be in the same room, same time. So if you want to learn Google AI, feel free to attend our workshop. All right, so I'm gonna go around the room now and help anyone who needs help still. Pretty normal. That's it. So click on YouTube.
Hello, everyone. Just a few last things before you guys get finished with the apps. So two main things. One is the workshop, obviously. So apart from learning about the Cloud AI platform, we'll also be introducing you to Google's preferred learning path, which we talked about in the info session. And you will, by coming to this workshop, you'll get access to the preferred learning path for 1 month for free. And another thing is, before you guys leave, I need to check you guys in to make sure that we know that you were here. And it really does help us gauge interest on what topics we can explore in the future. If there's any question about the workshop, then feel free to ask me now.
Yeah. Android. No. So activity management is one. Inactivity is our project. So we'll need to yeah, you don't have to do like those together. So this let's see that flow rule. So clicking it, yeah, so we're gonna insert a button. So and you're gonna set the size of the yeah, you can do it here too, but all right, so and then yeah, you're gonna turn that to all sides. You're gonna put the circle just right.
That's kind of like we have people and stuff. Let's go
Okay,
back to the people and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically constraining that image within yeah. Yeah, so this is their now, if we go to that, okay. Got it's weird. Usually it comes with let me just check you guys in. It's not weird. Oh, I didn't know that. And then, yeah, anything that has I didn't know that now. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. I didn't know percent people did. I knew this. Come on. Everyone else good? Yeah. Mine would have things will create. So I think it's maybe the newer standard. Oh yeah. Because even my MacBook, the ARM processor. Yeah, it's weird. Okay. Nervous, man. I think I hear it better than I need to practice. You're good. Yeah, like in the middle one. You're chilling, like the other one. Yeah, just have okay. Sorry about the signing. Yeah. That's fine.
I just don't know English. English No real weapon, right?
Yeah, maybe I'm also not good. I'm not big.
I know. Anyway, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
It's gonna be like this every week. We start teaching. I can do office hours. Lectures, we have to understand. Yeah, those are good. But that's pretty hard to say. Usually it's funny. Yeah, especially on like older devices. So it is. Yeah. 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 You can have a device. Yeah. So you can move that up to an Android device and it actually automatically roll on. You know, I need to put on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you just natural. But we can always We're still recording.